Hello, and thank you so much for joining us again on this episode of Worthy Work. We are continuing in this message and series around working without struggle. I'm still in Matthew 11, the message translation, and I'd like to go to Matthew 11:25 through 30. Okay, so let's start here. Abruptly, Jesus broke into prayer. Thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. You've concealed your ways from sophisticates and know-it-alls, but spelled them out clearly to ordinary people. Yes, Father, that's the way you like to work. Jesus resumed talking to the people, but now tenderly. The Father has given me all these things to do and say. This is a unique father-son operation coming out of father and son intimacies and knowledge. No one knows the Son the way the Father does, nor the Father the way the Son does. But I'm not keeping it to myself. I'm ready to go over it line by line with anyone willing to listen. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the enforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Woo! That's what I love. Thank you, Jesus. He's pretty awesome. I mean, it's just amazing. Let's kind of dive into this and break down really how God likes to work and the way he likes to work. And as you can see here, it says freely and lightly. I don't see where he likes to work with struggle. So let's go up here and break this down. So when he broke out into prayer abruptly, I love that. He said, "You concealed your ways from sophisticates and know-it-alls, but you've spelled them out clearly to ordinary people." And I love this text. Ordinary people. I have loved the idea of the ordinary person. So growing up, I grew up in a very ordinary style situation with parents who did not go to college and did not have a ton, but there were a lot of folks in my friend group that had much. I didn't really care because it just didn't bother me, but a lot of people looked at me because of maybe how I came across. I was very studious and all the academic stuff and president of class and very much involved as a little kid. And so people would assume that I was the sophisticate of the world and in my little teeny bubble of a world. And so a lot of times, it was easy for me to step into one arena because it just kind of came naturally. People wanted to see the best for me and wanted to, see my education take off and all the things. But then I would see how people would look towards someone like my mom, who's not like me in many ways, a ton like me through the spirit, but in terms of education and all of that, would be considered an ordinary, lowly person in the society and the time and the lifestyle that we grew up in. And I would see how those people would look at her. And I'd be a young girl, but I could feel it and I knew it. And so I'm very fascinated by how God works because growing up, I saw my mom just so powerful. And when people denied that power because maybe how she spoke or what she didn't have, I couldn't understand it. But that's because a lot of the people, even the people that you see at church, unfortunately, haven't gotten this awesome revelation. That is all right because they can still get this revelation. And so as we think about work, a lot of times I think we often are those people. We think just because someone has a lot, knows a lot, isn't a wonderful high title that they are everything. But it says specifically here, there's a special place for the ordinary person. Jesus says to the Father, that's the way you like to work. In this translation, it's saying God likes to work like that. It's like almost comical to me. The things that the world calls foolish in other translations, that's the very thing he uses. It's the things that the world calls foolish, though, not the things that God calls foolish, okay? Not the things that the Spirit calls foolish, but the things that the world seems to be foolish. He works through that. So that's a great place to start when you're working. I I'm not trying to demean us. And if you do have a ton of education, fantastic. All of that is for God's glory. So I think it's beautiful. But it's important to know that He works in different ways. And it's so exciting because He doesn't leave us out. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. You don't have to earn your way in like you have to do in this world. So even if you have had that, way of working, of earning yourself into this right standing, you can see, well, maybe that's what I did because that's what the world demanded, but God doesn't demand that from me. Okay. It's good to know that. The next part to this, 27 says, the Father has given me all things to do and say this is a unique father son operation. I love that. It's a unique father son operation coming from the intimate knowledge that the Father has for the Son and the Son has for the Father. And I think in order to really have a struggle free work life, you have to get to know the Father. He knows you and He loves you. And He loves me. But we have to get to know Him and know His ways because we're bombarded all day with things that are not necessarily the kingdom's ways of working. Even, as a child, there's ways that you have to have order in your house. And so parents may do things to say this equals good and that equals bad. And all of that, helps you to live out your life, but to know right and wrong or whatever. But the way God works is even different than that. So it's very important to get to have that relationship with the Father, for it to be so sweet, so set apart, you and Him. And if Jesus had it and Christ is in you, that same relationship abides in you. And I will tell you, it is a God's place that only He can fulfill in all of our hearts. So many of us can look at everything we have, different relationships we have. Some people have amazing friendships, marriages, children, sisters, brothers, parents, all the different relationships that are so beautiful and definitely needed, but you could have it all and still have that emptiness because there's only something that He can fulfill. And so when you allow Him to fulfill that space, like it says in the chapters earlier, like, I tried doing this, you were too busy. I tried talking to you, you wanted to go here, but let Him totally max out that space in your life. And it makes you have an awareness of how not to struggle. Without that intimate relationship, it's really impossible because, you just try to tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to struggle. But it's not coming from that. It has to come from that God place that only He can fulfill in each of our lives. So that's another thing I love as we read through this. And then lastly, my, this one here, I've heard a few pastors already teach on this, and this is what made me kind of go back and look at the whole chapter. But are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? 28 through 30. This is where he says, come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. This is where I think, he drives it home, really. This is all the icing on the cake. This is the grand finale right here. After all of that, the truth is you got to go away with Him. And yes, like I said earlier, get to know Him, but really it's come to Him. When we're dealing with being tired and worn out, a lot of times we want to do things to do that. We want to get something off our plate. We want to get some rest. We want to go away to a spa. We want to maybe have a confrontation with someone, whatever you can do to feel like you got it, you do. It could be wanting to then get into a relationship, wanting to get another job. I mean, the list goes on and on of what you can do to try to get that peace. But He says, come to me. That's it. Just come to Him. Go to Him. Go to Him. And He's so kind and gentle that, He's not going to force Himself on you, which I love. He's not forceful. And our world is forceful. It's very pressure filled. If you don't do this, this will happen. But He doesn't say that. He just says, come to me. It's like, you know where I'm at. My grandfather always used to tell me, you know where I live, come to Him. That's it. Get away with Him. Go on and go take a trip with Him. Just get away with Him. Go into one of your rooms, go into a space and just get away with Him. Retreat with Him. Leave this stuff alone. Go be with Him. And He said, I'll show you how to take a real rest. Isn't it funny how we sometimes, want to get a sleep, but when you get a good sleep, it's like, Oh, when you get a real rest, he can do that. I love what he says, walk with me and work with me. This is where I think from worthy work, this should be like my motto. Walk with him and work with him. When you get a chance to do that and literally you're walking, but you're working with him, you get to really see how he does it. I think it says that in here. Watch how I do it. You watch him, you watch and learn. As a little kid, you look at your parent, whether good or bad, you're looking at those around you, you're learning how to do it. But this one, you're not going to mess up when you're watching him because he knows it all. He's it. So you look at him and you watch him and you learn how to work. He tells you what to do. He tells you what to say. He gives you the right posture in how to say it. He's good like that. So you can watch him and learn from the best. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. Unforced. See, struggle is always forced. You're always trying to force things to happen or force something to happen for you to not struggle anymore, just to find out that that happens and you're still in this struggle because it's deeper. He says, I won't lay anything heavy or ill fitting on you. This is what I want to just really bring home. He won't lay anything heavy or ill fitting on you. That is the way of the world. And I feel like as people of God, this is a area that I would love to see people gain more revelation and knowledge on, not to abuse or misuse this wonderful gift of freeness and lightheartedness that God has given us, but to tell the truth and not to misplace struggle. That is not coming from God. He does not put that on you. That is not God, okay? That's very important to know about our God. He does not work in struggle. He does not need you to struggle. He sent his son to pay the price forever. And so all we have to do is believe on him. So important to me. I just feel like there's so many people who don't know the goodness of God. It starts with that. It starts with that. It has to. Because if it doesn't, it's just religion. And you'll get back to this where it says, are you tired? Are you worn out on religion? You'll get worn out real fast from that. He is good all the time. And anytime we feel something heavy or ill-fitting, it is not from God. It is not from God. That is not his heart for his people. Period. Says keep company with him and we'll learn how to live freely and lightly. This is what I believe worthy work is about. Living freely, living lightly, working freely, working lightly. Good things come when you work and walk with him. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Worthy Work. See you next time.